Okay.
Call the planning commission meeting to order. This is a fill-in meeting on November 2nd, which was supposed to occur in October. And I need to pull up my. Okay, so it's 6 p.m. and our agenda. Where is it? Yeah. Sorry about this. Okay, this evening we will be discussing the Atkinson Acres subdivision, public hearing, and then French Cottage Bakery conditional use permit, public hearing, and grade and building height amendment, public hearing, and then general plan discussion, which it just involves us. To start the meeting, we open it up to public comment if it doesn't pertain to any of the things on our agenda. If you have a grievance or suggestion for us, you can go to the lectern and get 2 minutes.
But if you want something else that's on the agenda, just wait. And we'll
Yeah.
have that there.
Yeah, if you're on the agenda, when we get to that, you get time to speak. And there's no limit for time. So, all right, we will start out with the Atkinson Acres subdivision.
Okay.
Katie, if you could read the,
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'll switch the screen here. Okay, so Dolores Atkinson Mansell owns parcel FT 2041-8, which on this map is the parcel outlined in red. It is near the intersection of SR 32 and Lambert Lane, just down that road. This is 32 here, this is Lambert Lane, just to give everyone an idea. It is 9 acres and is partially in the RH zone and partially in the Ag1 zone. Dolores' nephew, Riley Atkinson, would like to subdivide the property so that he can purchase 2 acres with frontage on Lambert Lane. The land will be subdivided into 2 parcels. So I'm gonna go to the subdivision map now.
So this is east of Park Crossing?
yes,
Yes, yeah, exactly. Okay. So they want to subdivide it into 2 parcels. Lot 1 will be buildable after water shares are turned in, utilities are connected to the property or bonded for, and the plat is recorded. The remainder parcel will continue to be used for agricultural purposes at this time. It will not be buildable until all the city's building requirements are met. The remainder parcel was platted with 100 feet of frontage on Lambert Lane, so that's this part right here, so that it meets the minimum frontage requirements for the residential tax zone and can be built on later without installation of a private or public road. The remainder parcel may also be further subdivided later if the property owner elects to build a road from the frontage on Lambert Lane to the back of the parcel. 2 irrigation ditches run through the property. You can see those here and here. Sorry, I lost my place. And both are identified on the plat with a 10-foot maintenance easement. There is also an access easement on the remainder parcel in favor of lot 1. So you can see that up here, that it talks about this. This is open for access to lot 1.
So will the home be facing east?
It will be facing Lambert Lane, which is
North.
north. South.
North. Definitely north.
It is.
It's on the south side of the road to the
It's on the
house.
south side of the road, facing north. Oh my goodness. Okay. The planning commission may recommend that the preliminary plan be accepted by the city council as the final plat if it meets all the requirements of a final plat. This is a special I guess, provision for minor subdivisions, the smaller 4 lot or less subdivisions, they are allowed to just go through this approval process one time instead of 2, and everything meets the requirements. So I checked their plat. All the revisions that I sent them were incorporated. So what you're looking at here is everything with my revisions in there and Scott's. Looks like the easements were correctly designated. The developer has met the preliminary and final plat requirements with only one outstanding item, which is to add the street number to the address table, but they have to wait for Summit County to give that to them. So that's pretty standard, I'm not too worried about that, they'll get it to us pretty soon. So my recommendation is to resolve any questions or concerns with the applicant, and I would recommend positively recommending this to the city council. And I also recommend that the preliminary plat be accepted by the council as the final plat, so. This is a public hearing, and we did notice the hearing twice, for more than 10 days before the meeting, in accordance with state and city code. Okay, so that's it for me. Scott, I don't know if you had anything.
Dolores and Riley, are you here?
Yes, sir.
You can come up if you want to say anything, you can come to the lectern.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add?
Is that my time now, or are you guys gonna discuss it further?
No, you can stand
Do
up.
you have
and tell us
anything you
what-
want to add to that?
So my name,
Perfect.
so my name is Riley Atkinson, and my address is 575 West Lambert Lane. The other lady here with my Aunt Dolores is my wife, Thea. We've been married for almost 5 years now. I grew up in Francis, Utah, on Lambert Lane, on that same field that my family's been farming for 7 generations. So it is my hope and my wife's hope that you guys will pass this so that we can build a family home here in Francis and continue on farming the land. And that's our goal. And then the only other question that I have or concern is I do not know if I'm going to need to have all of the kind of gas, water, sewer connected before I can put it into my name. And if so, my plan was to pay for that through a construction loan, and I am unable to get a construction loan unless the land is in my name. So I'm kind of a little cornered right
Rock in a
there.
hard place.
Yeah.
Scott can address that probably a little bit more.
So as far as the gas and the phone and power and that won't have to be done. But we usually do, if you could put up a bond, I don't know if you can come up with a bond for, it's just your water and sewer laterals for maybe $6,000-8,000 or something to do that. Then we could record the plat.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd have to see if there's something we could work out with the 30% of the power, so we can record the plat, and you could have it in your name, and you get your bond.
Awesome, yeah, our goal is to have it be in our name before the end of the year. So, we've been working on this since June, and so we're kind of anxious to get it finalized before the end of the year. And then I also have another question, has there been any updates on Beaver Shingle watersheds as far as if we can turn that in? Not yet, okay.
Yeah, so when someone builds a subdivision, even if it's just 1 lot, we always require water shares to be turned in so that they can have access to our culinary water system. Right now, we're accepting South Camas and Washington shares. And in the future, we should be able to receive Beaver Shingle Creek once some things get sorted out in the meadows. So he's asking that we probably write an agreement to accept the Beaver Shingle shares that he has and just hold on to those until we can actually accept them. We just have to have our attorney write that in an agreement.
How many shares do you need to do a 2-acre lot?
I believe it was 6.
Really?
Beaver Shingle Creek, we're not real sure yet how many, but it'll be around the 5, 6, somewhere in there.
Okay.
That's one of the unknowns, but we can write that in the agreements.
Awesome, and then I'll be able to get kind of a final number for the bond, maybe soon as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you want to do, so.
That'll probably be the best option.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, one more. The other 7 acres is gonna be agricultural for now.
Yes, sir.
And in the Is there a plan to build more houses?
Not at the moment, but who's to say what?
In 5 to 7 years, there's a possibility of one more, but depending on if any of my other nephews, great nephews want to build a house there, there's a possibility. Is that gonna be a problem?
Well, that's why we made sure you have enough room here, to put in a future road if you wanted to. So we did it this way so that you have some flexibility. One person could move in on this back lot pretty much any time as long as you put water and sewer back there and turn the water shares and meet all those requirements. If you want to do more than one house back there, then you would have to build a road back and then you can further subdivide it. So you have 7 acres, the zoning for most of this back here is ag 1, so taking out the road, you probably have room for 5 lots on the back,
Okay,
maybe 6.
Is that enough for all your nephews?
well, not all of them, but enough of them probably that would want to live here. There's a lot of them that would want to live here, so.
Yeah, and there's always the option of asking to rezone that to a higher density zone like the residential have. But that is up to the discretion of the city council and planning commission.
That would be costly to subdivide it that much.
Yeah.
Anything from the council?
Have we given up on a bike path through there? That was the only thing we were talking about with Hart. Is there any provisions we need to put if we go down that road?
Okay, Scott, you answer that one?
So I guess,
And that's kind of circling back to the other things we talked about.
Sure.
Are you talking about on Lambert, Justin?
Yeah, that's the only little question I have. I'm fine with everything else. And I'm honestly, I'm just more of a question, is that something we need to consider, or have we pretty much think that ship has sailed?
I have thought about that, and I think, Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what we're trying to do with the general plan is make it so that that will happen in the future, that we can require it, we'll have a master trails map,
Got it.
and we'll be able to say, this is where the trail goes, you're developing this property, you have to put in the trail. But
We're not there yet.
I don't think so, unless Scott thinks we are.
no, I don't think we've got any kind of plan to go through there. I guess it's something we could ask if they'd be willing to give up an easement across the front of the property for a trail, but we could fit something alongside the road. We do have a 60-foot right of way through there, so.
Okay, that was my only question, is if we needed to put something in for the future.
So it sounds like the city will have them right away to put something in if we want
Perfect,
we want to add it, but we want them to add it,
great.
yeah. We're not quite there yet, but hopefully we'll get there after we get this general.
I'm with you, I don't think we have enough pieces now, I just want to make sure we have room to do it, and that doesn't become an issue later.
And you know what we're talking about? What do you got?
I feel like I got a good idea, kind of what they've done on 32 in Marion.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're trying to create, not necessarily sidewalks, because then there becomes a whole big shoveling thing, but walkable access to and from and kind of getting around, similar to how our crossing is set up. We sort of missed that on Lambert there when we went through that process.
Yeah, I see you guys walking all the time on Lambert.
Always out there.
I know, and I always think like, oh, I wish we had a walking
Yeah.
path here, because I know Lambert can be a little scary
It is
sometimes.
very scary.
And so that's really, it's kind of a future goal for us to be able to kind of create at least some connected, because right now we're pretty fragmented island and Wild Willow, right, kind of divided you guys. And so that's just one of the things that I'm, want to make sure that we keep in mind as we start approving subdivisions and work on our general plan, is that we kind of keep that in the back of our minds, especially as some of these roads like Lambert continue to be developed, it's going to increase traffic.
So now that would go in the front of the property line, or wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would go right across the front. But it sounds like we have easement space, that's why I was checking with Scott, for us. And obviously, we're not there yet to make you pay for it, so I think we're think that's a dead issue, so we good? Thank you.
No, but it's a good thing to keep in mind for sure, Justin.
So what kind of me and my family with Dolores and other potential like people who might want to live there in the future have talked about is that right now we will have the road for everything just come up 100 feet. So like our road to our residence isn't gonna go into the 2 acres. We're planning on having that come up 100 feet, so that way in the future, whoever wants to subdivide the 7, they already have a road.
That's
And
perfect.
so
Yeah.
with that 100 feet, would that still keep it private? Because that was our main goal, is we wanted that road to stay private.
I don't see why not. Our right of way is 60 feet, whether it's public or private road, and that designation of public or private is kind of a joint decision between the applicant or the landowner and the city council.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just something, when we subdivide that, you could request and.
Let it stay private. Awesome. And then just because we were talking about the trail, is there any plan for Lambert Lane itself to kind of follow widening? You know how it's wide and then it goes narrow? Is that going to be widened all the way down?
Plan is, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Which should continue on the north side of Lambert, right?
Yes, it's,
That's still county property, right?
yeah, on the other side of the road is county.
Yep. Anything else for?
No, I don't have anything else. Anything else?
No, it's
Do we have a
right.
motion?
Well, we need to open up a public comment period.
Okay. Does anyone else want to say anything to turn down this project?
Or to support it, either way.
Yeah, we support family farming and families for 7 generations on that property. That's impressive. Thank you.
That really is impressive.
Okay, then we close the public comment.
I lost track of amendments. Do we need to add anything or just approve as written?
I don't think there was any conditions or anything to add.
Okay, so I motion we approve with a positive recommendation for city council as written.
I second it.
You vote.
I second it.
Yeah.
I
Aye.
approve. Aye.
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 I say aye.
Okay,
Done.
so it was unanimous. So we'll see you at city council in a week.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the French Cottage Bakery conditional use permit.
All right. Yeah, I got it. Okay. So Ben Cornet, owner of French Cottage Bakery, applied for a business license for a bakery to be operated out of his home at 1459 Rockview Court. The proposed business will manufacture and package frozen baked goods for wholesale only. The business is not intended to sell directly to customers. The equipment and supplies used to conduct the business will be stored indoors and will not be visible outside the building. 3 employees will be employed by the business, including the homeowner. A monthly shipment of supplies will be delivered via a commercial truck. Section 18.80 of Francis City Code regulates home occupations and requires a conditional use permit or CUP for any home or premise occupation which employs more than one person residing outside the home, uses commercial use vehicles in excess of 1 ton, and involves food or drink preparation, storage, or catering. There's also like a longer list of when we need a CUP for a home premise occupation. These are just the 3 factors that trigger that for this business. So looking at the application, I reviewed it and took into, like, really the main question I'm looking at in this situation where someone wants to do a business from their home is trying to decide if it is going to change the character of the neighborhood. Like, people drive by the home, will they have any idea that a business is being run there? Or is the impact very minimal, like, you won't really be able to tell? Our goal as a city is for most commercial businesses to be located in the commercial zones, but there are cases when a home occupation is okay. So really just looking at neighborhood compatibility is the top thing that when I make a recommendation, that's what I look at. So vehicular traffic for this business will not exceed, in my opinion, doesn't exceed that which is normally and reasonably occurring for residents in the neighborhood. So they're not having any visitors to come and purchase the goods. So traffic won't increase. But there will be a monthly commercial delivery. So on the plans here, he's showing where the business will be located, which is the third car garage. They've applied for a building permit to do this in the garage. And then they've also shown where the truck will park, which is in the driveway. So it won't be blocking the road or any of the neighbors' driveways, anything like that. So to me, it seems like it won't be a nuisance. They've mitigated this concern of having a big truck in the neighborhood once a month. The site plan submitted with the application shows that the delivery truck will park in the driveway, so I already said that. The construction of the bakery will not physically change or alter the external residential appearance of the dwelling. The business space will be built in a portion of the third car garage. Francis code requires that each residential dwelling have 3 parking spaces. There are 3 parking spaces that remain available in the garages, along with additional parking in the driveways. So they're not taking away one of the required spaces. Francis City and Summit County Health Codes require that food preparation businesses be allowed only when authorized by the Summit County Health Department. Per Utah law, a land use authority shall approve a conditional use if reasonable conditions are proposed or can be imposed to mitigate the reasonably anticipated detrimental effects of the proposed use in accordance with applicable standards. So that's a mouthful, but what it really means is that if we have someone asking us for a conditional use permit, we need to look at any detrimental effects that could come up from that conditional use. And if those can be mitigated in some way, we can set conditions, which is what we're here to do, is set conditions, and we should approve it. So the conditions that I would propose, that I would recommend, are 4 different conditions. The first one is for the commercial vehicles, and then say that a commercial vehicle in excess of 1 ton is permitted to make monthly deliveries to the business. Commercial vehicles associated with the business may not block roadways or neighboring driveways. The second has to do with employees. The business may employ a maximum of 2 employees that reside outside the home. We are allowed to go up to 2 with a conditional use permit. The health department permit, I also think it would be appropriate that the business had to be permitted by the Summit County Health Department. The applicant must provide Francis City with a current copy of the permit to keep in its files. And then last, a provision so that if there is a violation of those conditions that I talked about, that would constitute grounds for us to take this conditional use permit or suspend it in order to cease operations either temporarily or permanently. So it gives us a way to make sure that those conditions are followed. So my recommendation is to review and approve the conditional use permit with reasonable conditions to mitigate any adverse effects on neighbors and the surrounding community. This is a public hearing and it was adequately noticed. That's it for me.
Are you in Cornet?
Yes.
It's Cornet.
Is it Cornet? Correct, that's what I thought, I just.
And our neighbor Holly had to leave. She left this letter.
Okay, I'd be happy to read it, if you want to read it to me, I'll read it during the public comment period. Okay. Do you have anything you want to add, Ben?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hello, my name is Ben. I'm not, okay. Hi, my name is Ben Cornet. I reside at 1459 Rocky Court, Camas, Utah, Francis, Utah. This permit is for my occupation. I'm a pastry chef. I'm hoping to be able to manufacture goods, low-key manufacturing. We're not talking, big stuff. With the help of 2 employees who travel together, they're sisters, so only one car is being brought daily to the dwelling in the front. And I just hope that you'll let us do this.
We have no intention of
We have no
letting
intention.
anybody else buy anything from us.
Yeah, we moved from Las Vegas for this, to supply a local business with those goods that I manufacture. And we moved from Las Vegas and we used to do selling out of our house, and it's miserable, and we have absolutely no intention whatsoever to ever get back to this.
Perfect.
So once you have your product put together and you're prepared to distribute it to your customer, how is that taking place?
So this is using our personal vehicle.
So you would be driving your product to the
Yes,
location?
absolutely.
It wouldn't be a UPS truck that's daily coming by and
No.
picking up your product?
Absolutely not, no. And it's a local delivery, it's 20 minutes away. It happens twice, maybe 3 times a week. And we're using our personal vehicle.
And then, so during the winter time, the employees that work for you aren't gonna need to park on the street when nobody's allowed?
No, I mean, our driveway is massive. There's sufficient space for plenty of their cars.
And we shovel it and we share a car to make sure.
Oh yeah, we do have only one vehicle.
That's why I wrote it.
Have you done anything to mitigate if there's a fire that breaks out in your?
So the manufacturer is only unbaked frozen goods. So we don't plan on baking any of the product. And if we do, I honestly, I don't see it. Like right now, all we do is basically make dough and freeze it and package it, and that's it. We don't bake.
Do you make croissants and
Absolutely, sir.
so do you have savory, like meat?
No,
No
no,
croissants, just fruit?
just quite honestly, plain and chocolate and cinnamon, and that's it.
You have a supplier and way to sell them? Who's it going to?
This is going to a local business, Valerian Farm.
Do you have any samples?
Well, actually, I put my foot in my mouth about a month ago. I came to visit Katie firsthand with a nice plate of pastries, and I learned that she is celiac, so I could have killed her.
FYI, it's totally kidding. And we're live.
So it was a good chuckle, but yes,
The rest of us enjoyed it.
we can make that happen.
Appreciate the phone call.
Do you have an idea of your gross business, what you,
Sales?
Yeah.
Last year, when we were operating out of Las Vegas and selling from Vegas and having it trucked to Ballerina, we did about $120,000 sales.
I don't have any questions.
I have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say that your business takes off, you're a smash hit, and you decide that you're gonna distribute to more people. At
So-
what point do you grow out of the garage and get your own location? Have you
So
considered that?
the hope,
Yes.
so there's many avenues. There's one preferred. The avenue preferred by my wife here would be to kick me out of the garage and actually move into a facility that the Needlemans are building or are planning on building at this time in front of Weller Recreation. So within year to year and a half, we can actually close this matter and just return this house to a completely residential property. That is our hope, and she won't let that happen.
Basketball. Okay.
I've seen it. So you consider this temporary?
Yes.
who's your supplier?
Chef Warehouse, they're trucking from Las Vegas, and because of the amount that I need to place in order to get a delivery, this is why I can only get once a month. delivery.
My guess is the letter that Katie has is from a neighbor.
Mhm.
Are there other neighbors that are in favor of this?
So I believe that Katie sent a letter to her 20-something neighbors that are within 600 feet. I don't know if you've received any comments.
I have not, I checked, a little earlier today, and I did not receive any comments by email. But I did notice the meeting, by sending the letters to everyone within 600 feet.
Perfect. So we had a little barbecue on Sunday all together, or cul-de-sac, so like the 6-7 houses that live within our neighborhood that we're close with, and everybody seemed to be in favor. And we have not received anything, any complaints or any comments at this time.
Would you like to hear the letter?
Well, you want to open up public comment, and then I can read this.
Yeah, let's
see
do
if
public
anyone else-
comment if there is any.
You guys are good? Okay. All right, I'll read the letter. It says, "Dear Francis City Committee, my name is Holly Soder. I live at 1489 East Giants Lane in Francis. I would like to express my hope that the French Cottage Bakery would be approved for business in our community. We moved to Francis 3 years ago, and we did so for the small town community. We love everything about buying local and supporting our local businesses. My favorite Christmas gifts can be found close to home. We love anything from the fudge fairy and choke cherry jelly. We would feel very fortunate to have a list of buying local to include the French Cottage Bakery. Thank you for your consideration, Mike and Holly Soder."
Okay. My only concern, I went to your house, and my real only concern is Giants Lane. But if it's truly once a month delivery, there are more dump trucks that come by there in a day. Yeah, my other concern would be FedEx or UPS showing up every day to ship stuff out. You answered that question.
My neighbor has plenty of those.
Just shopping.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with any kind of business.
Okay?
Is that you?
Yeah, I don't see an issue really.
Okay.
So a motion
My
to,
motion to approve it.
I'll second.
it passes unanimously
Thank you.
to start your business. But you understand that this is what, 1 year?
So conditional use permit is good for 3 years, but your business license, so what we do now is, you've already applied for your business, you have your license, application, so I can go ahead and approve your business license now. And that you need to renew every year. The conditional use permit will evaluate every 3 years. But you're good to go, so.
And I'll be providing you with, so this was step one. We will be applying for a health license through Summit County. I'll be providing you with that as soon as I can get it. I'm
Perfect,
eager to get started, so.
I know you need to do the building first, so I guess it was a little preliminary for me to say I'm gonna approve the business license because you're correct, we'll put these conditions, sorry. When we approved it, I think we needed to say that we would approve the conditions. Just realized that.
Do we have any conditions?
Well, I proposed some conditions, do you want to
Oh,
approve it with the
okay.
conditions or not?
Yep.
Suzanne,
We
how should
should
that work?
approve with conditions, because if you grow to the point where your employees are parking on the street during the winter, that's gonna be an issue.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so that should be a condition.
Suzanne, can we go back?
Yep. So, Kenny, motion to approve with?
The condition to,
Conditions as written,
As recommended by staff.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say that, you have to say that.
as written by staff.
Thank you.
You got this.
Yeah, I just thought I remember that. So, now.
I second, yeah.
Any,
And, aye,
aye.
okay.
So now it's officially passed.
Thank you
with
again.
conditions.
Thanks again.
Yeah, the conditions will be attached to your business license.
Oh, wait, we forgot to add croissants delivered weekly.
Yeah, but I'm not planning on
I know you
baking,
gotta make
so.
it yourself.
We got a little work to do.
We can turn on our oven.
Great,
Okay,
good luck.
just give me the, I guess I'll issue the business license once I get like a condition, a certificate of occupancy, like the building permit has been completed, and then the health department certificate, so.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And you are all welcome to stay as long as you want, or you're welcome to leave. We will not be offended.
Are you sure?
We're
Yeah.
I'm not being offended at all. You can
We're used
tell.
to sitting here by ourselves.
Yeah, you'd leave if you could, right?
Thank you.
Yes, actually.
Wait, they
Thank you all.
Wait, don't go.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations,
The next item on our agenda is grade and building height amendment. And this is something that was discussed at city council, right? And then-
Correct, it is, yes. I'll pull out my staff report, here it is, first one on top. Okay, so the purpose of this amendment is to, there's several purposes. First, to simplify the code regulating building height so that it is more straightforward for staff to determine whether structures meet the building height provisions. So right now, it has me deciding what type of roof it is, and then setting a like midway point between it. It's a little complicated, so this simplifies it and just says height is from grade to the top of the roof. It's not quite that simple, but pretty much. The other purpose is to allow commercial and city center zone properties with frontage on highways 32 or 35 to measure height from finished grade instead of natural grade, since many properties along the highway require significant filling to prevent structural water intrusion. So, for example, we saw Premier Pet Lodge and Vet Clinic, they did not build up, and they really should have. We saw the water issues there. Yeah. Okay, also to change the height exception for parapet walls. Right now, it says that parapet walls can be at most 18 inches. If you, does everyone know what a parapet wall is? No. Okay, so parapet. What?
It's the last thing you wrote.
Yeah, I did have it on there, so it's okay. A parapet wall, it looks like part of the building, but it's not. There's no like.
It's like-
It's the facade at the top of the
It's the
commercial
facade
building.
at the top.
So it has a
That's
flat
like
roof, and the wall just goes higher.
Yeah.
And so essentially,
It hides equipment, elevator
It's in
shafts.
Western town.
AC,
Yeah, and it hides the HVAC and heat.
I think the biggest issue as I read on this one is that because of the height being the 18 inches, you didn't have to have a rail for OSHA.
Yeah, if you can imagine having like this facade wall, 18 inches, and somebody's up there working on things, that's a hazard.
Right.
That could be, someone could easily fall off, so you have to have a rail, which isn't gonna look nice. So, what we're looking at here is changing that to 10 feet at most.
A
Since
maximum of 10.
maximum
Okay.
of 10 feet. And then they can conceal things like an elevator shaft or mechanical equipment. And then also, last reason to amend this is to eliminate redundant and conflicting codes. You probably noticed in here that there's a lot that I'm proposing to just take out, and that is because it says the same thing like 3 times, and that is the worst thing that I don't like to see that in code, because if I change it in one place and I don't realize that it's in those 2 other places, then all of a sudden we have conflicting code. So I like to just keep each rule in one place. Okay, my recommendation is to discuss the proposed amendment. I'll be going through that in just a minute in more detail, making changes as needed, forward to the city council with a positive or negative recommendation, Or if you feel like we need more time to discuss this matter, you can table this item and we can discuss it later. There is a public hearing because this is a code text amendment and adequate notice of the hearing was given. So looking at the actual amendment in more detail here, trying to zoom in on that. The first thing is adding a definition for finished grade. And this goes to the properties that are on 32 and 35, the commercial properties. So the definition would say that finished grade means the average elevation of the ground abutting the building or structure at the exterior walls after completion of cutting and or filling. We're adding this definition in because later we're adding another term. So the next one is to amend the natural grade definition to take out how we're measuring height, because in my opinion, that's not part of the definition for natural grade. That's covered later in the height definition. We don't need it twice. Okay, then, kind of like I talked about earlier, right now our height definition says that I have to decide what type of roof it is, and there's some ambiguity there, and then I have to take a midline. So I would like to simplify that to height means the vertical distance from natural grade to the highest point of a flat or pitched roof. In the commercial and city center zones, properties with frontage on SR 32 and 35 may measure height from finished grade to the highest point of a flat or pitched roof if finished grade is at or below the grade of the road at the edge of the asphalt. So, what we're doing here, besides simplifying, is adding a different height measurement for commercial properties. Instead of measuring from natural grade, we're going to look at measuring from finished grade instead. The reason is, like I talked about with the vet clinic, on both sides of 32 especially, it's like very low compared to the road level. So if someone comes in, they're going to have to fill that property quite a bit. And that takes away from the height that they could build to, because that, whatever they fill is deducted. Instead of going from natural grade, now we're looking at finished grade. So it encourages them to build up and not have the water issues. It also gives them a little bit more, they can get to the max height. I guess it gives them a little extra room if they need to build up.
To go beyond the 32 feet.
Well, the max height in the city center and commercial zones is 40 feet. So if we didn't change this, then it's really more like 37 feet for them because they have to build up. So let's see, moving on to the next section. This is in our supplemental provisions that just are about height. And again, taking out how we measure height because it's redundant to have it there again. It's exactly what we have right here, so why do we have it there? Okay, and then looking at the third exception. So these are exceptions for buildings. Okay, so here's the exceptions for the height rules. So 32 feet in residential, 40 feet in commercial and city center. And I think like industrial too. So to allow for attachments which are unoccupied and clearly accessory in nature, the following exceptions apply. We already have one for antennas, chimneys, flues, vents, water towers, mechanical equipment, and church spires, bell towers. We added clock towers because that was mentioned in another section, the commercial section. So instead of having two separate rules that are conflicting a little bit, I'd like to just keep all these exceptions in one place. So add clock towers to the all the height provisions, cupolas, parapet walls, and like architectural elements on non-residential lots may extend over the specified maximum height limit, but shall not contain any habitable space above the maximum zone height stated. And then, just changing the wording, instead of calling these features, calling these elements must be approved as part of a site plan review. And under no circumstances shall be more than 50 feet above grade unless approved as part of a conditional use permit. So, say that a church wants to come here. We'll pretend like we're here for a minute. And we have a church that wants to build a temple here in Francis, right? And they're asking for a spire that goes up to 50 feet. The total height would be 50 feet. What is the process for that? They would have to come in and during the site plan review, they would bring this up. They could go up to 50 feet with the conditional use, or with the site plan review. If they wanted to go higher than that, then they have to apply for the conditional use permit. So like what's happening in Heber with the temple, they want to go higher than their max height, even with, they're in that conditional use permit category. So, does that all make sense? Sorry, I feel like this is kind of confusing, but,
So far.
okay, fantastic. I guess I'm the only one.
No, I'm glad you clarified that, because that was gonna be like,
Yeah.
you're killing my questions here, so we're
I'm
good.
sorry. Okay, well, that's a good thing, I guess. So then, like I kind of talked about here, again, I was trying to simplify like our definitions of building height and just have the exceptions in one place. So the last section here is the commercial zone. And so I don't want to have a whole list of exceptions there. I want that to be in the earlier provision. So this would be more simple. It just says buildings in the C1 zone shall, which means they have to. Should is a recommendation, shall is like US, not exceed 40 feet in height unless an express exception in section 18.15.100, which is the one we just went through, applies, nor exceed the recommendation of the South Smoke Fire District. Okay, so that was pretty much it for me. Happy to answer any questions. This is a public hearing, so I'll have to open that up at some point.
Should get that out of the way.
Would you like to comment on our?
Sure, going to here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of interesting and funny that this happens all at the same time, because I work for On Top Roofing and I'm on the fire department. And so I like all the revisions that Katie has proposed, especially the parapet, because there have been many roofs that we have built, and we're currently doing the Mayflower in Park City, for example. And those parapet walls are also a safety feature. Because when we have our roofers up there for repairs even, those parapet walls, that 18 inches is just a tripping hazard. Plus being able to cover up any mechanical whatever on the roof, it'll make the building look prettier. That's an intentional thing that we do with when we're like designing and or constructing roofs, is trying to hide all the non-pretty things. So, I like it.
Okay.
Great,
Yep.
thanks. My only question is out of curiosity. Let's say Wes's project over here, he decides to add another 20 feet of fill to raise himself up, another 20 feet. Is there a figure you can put into?
Yeah, so when
Make
Scott
that
and I sat down and discussed what made sense to us, I actually did quite a bit of research on surrounding communities and what their height provisions are, and that's in that table. This is sort of modeled after how Camas handles their commercial heights, and that's kind of based off the road. So Scott and I did want to make sure that no one is building higher than the road and counting that, like building out 10 feet and then. So that's why we put in here that it has to be at or below the grade of the road at the edge of the asphalt. So they can't be higher than the road. Finished grade.
The edge or the center of the road?
Edge.
Edge, because it's sloped.
So it's highest in the center. We don't want like our road flooding, because obviously we want the ground to be from further out.
And I'm guessing most of these things, like a 10 feet wall and all that, is that something you just researched and just kind of?
The 10-foot parapet?
Yeah, or like the 50-foot spire, like,
Yeah.
you just kind of have to feel your way through that.
So a lot of this was existing already in our
Oh,
code.
got it.
Like the spire, that's the same rule. I did condense, like I added clock tower to that list of elements as well, because it didn't make sense to have it in 2 different places. The parapet wall is a little bit different because, I did forget to mention this, actually, the city council, like Bob mentioned, they did discuss this a month or 2 ago, and they asked me to proceed with the amendment. The reason this kind of got initiated right now is because there's a hotel that's actually looking at building in Francis, in a place that's zoned for hotels and everything. But they would like to do a parapet wall, and they're concerned that it wouldn't cover, 18 inches wouldn't cover their elevator shaft. They have to have an elevator. So they want to make sure that it looks nice and they don't have this elevator thing sticking out.
We want to make sure it's covered too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of figured that's where that was going from. I just wanted to make sure that 10 feet was enough.
Yeah.
I guess is more my,
I would recommend not going entirely to 10 feet. Because it is going to look like part of the building. So imagine.
No, I'm with you. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think through all the mechanical stuff, elevator shaft being one of them,
Yeah, and
did we do the due diligence behind it to come up with that number?
so I did look at other cities around, municipalities, Summit County, Park City, everyone around us, Heber, Wasatch. If you look at that table, it kind of details it. I looked at parapet walls specifically, and no one actually has a code about parapet walls, which is weird. And I was really hoping that we could just copy someone else, but we couldn't. So I really don't like writing code for one project, but it does happen that the project that kind of initiated this, or made me think maybe we need to make some updates here, they are good with this number.
Okay.
So,
Everybody's gonna want to come to Francis for 40 feet. We're well above everybody else.
we are. Park City does have some places, the codes were like really hard for me to.
43.75.
Yeah, there's some places that you could go quite a bit higher. So, but, and I think Oakley was at 40 as well. That's kind of there since I looked at that.
34, well, up to 50, she was.
Yeah, to 50.
You don't have old Colville on here though.
I might not put the whole bill on there.
So it's okay. It'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
All right, is there any more, or should we?
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
All right, I motion that we forward to city council with a positive recommendation for all changes as written by staff.
Very well put, I second.
vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Okay, you guys are flying through the steps tonight. Great. Justin, we might just be able to make your deadline. I think
Well,
we're in shape.
I'm not rushing through it, but I just.
You're not at all. No, this is good. This has been a good meeting, I think. It's complimentary.
You
I'm
can't
saying.
leave,
Thank you.
I was like, dude, I don't know, I just feel like we're.
Thanks.
No, I think we're at a good pace. I just
Yeah.
feel like we're not getting hung up on anything. I think we're
Yeah.
thinking about things and just keeping moving, so that's great.
Yeah, I like it.
Next is general plan update discussion.
Here's where we're going off the rails.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a little more, but. Yeah, it depends on you.
You're right. I am the wild card. Just talk about sidewalks.
All right, so last but not least is our general plan. We've been making some pretty good progress through this, I feel like, this year, and we're getting to the end, which is nice. So this will be the last bit of, like, the actual general plan that we'll be looking at. Next month, well, we need to talk about that, whether it's this month or next month. We'll get to that later, but at the next meeting, we will need to, my hope is that we'll be able to finalize this and pass it on to the city council. So next meeting, we'll have a public hearing. We'll, no, we're not gonna go through it all word by word or anything like that, but we will take any suggestions or last minute considerations. Be looking at the whole thing, and then I'm hoping to have the appendices already done by then too. So that will include like a history of Francis and the survey results. So that will be coming in the next meeting. But other than that, I feel like we're in pretty good shape for getting this done this year.
So in 2 weeks.
Let's talk about that.
Well, can I
I'm
make,
hoping to move the November meeting to basically like 1 month from now, on December 7th. Because that, yeah, that's my. we can talk
Remember
about
Day?
that.
I
Yeah,
feel like that's bad. Let me look.
let's look at it, and if we need to move this to January.
That's bad.
We'll talk about that later. It's on my list to talk about later, so no worries. We can move it into January if we need to. It doesn't really have a set time.
What's wrong with the 16th?
So it's 2 weeks from now, which
Oh, it's too tight for you, I'm sorry.
it's a tight timeline for me. And then personally, my twins have a birthday that day, which I have missed birthdays for planning commission meetings. They also have a swim meet. So,
No,
so my thought was December gives us a little more time to just complete the general plan and see if anyone else wants to jump on that agenda. And it's still early enough December. We don't usually have a meeting, but then we kind of get everyone in.
I can do the 7th.
Okay, well,
I can do December.
I have a legal obligation in Oregon,
okay, that's
What
fine.
about the 14th?
but
Oh, the 14th is city council.
Oh.
Point true. And we don't want to do the 21st, because that's too close to Christmas.
I'm
And it has to be a Thursday?
It doesn't have to. We could look at doing it like on another day. Justin, what's your schedule look like in December?
unfortunately, that legal obligation extends for 2 weeks.
Okay,
Wow.
okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, I know you guys know what that's about, but,
That's no big deal. So,
so that is not very fun, but, I could do the first.
okay, we could look at,
You wanna do that offline, maybe?
well, we're already here. So let's just talk for a minute and get an idea. We could look at maybe like the 21st of November, but that's getting pretty close to Thanksgiving. So I don't know about that.
What about the 30th?
The 14th, another option, but it's just a tight timeline.
How about the 30th of November?
The 30th, I will be out of town.
Okay.
You and I are on bad schedules.
The 28th of November?
There's a meeting, there's already another meeting that I have to be out of the city council that.
On the 28th?
So,
We could do the 1st, like Justin proposed.
the 1st, Friday the 1st.
Friday the 1st,
I'm actually out of town that whole long weekend.
Friday the 1st is fine, the 21st of November is fine.
Okay.
I know the whole world doesn't revolve around me, but unfortunately my legal obligations in December and January are no bueno. So yeah, and then the first week of January, not my favorite, but it's okay. The rest of it is black.
Okay, so Bob, how does your schedule look on December?
I don't do anything.
Okay.
I could be here every day.
Good.
All right, so as much as we want Justin to be involved, we might have to,
Yeah, no,
let you miss one.
I'm good with that.
But I'll check with the sandwich and see.
I'll be doing my public service anyway.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, let's kind of tentatively plan for that. Sorry about the 16th.
Which day are you gonna be thinking? you're
Probably
doing?
December 7th.
So we're canceling the 16th.
I think we should. I don't think I'm gonna be quite ready yet.
I'm already
Well,
done with
plus
the
you have
7th, so no
all
matter
that
what.
stuff.
I have city council next week, and I really don't want to miss the kids' birthdays and swim meet. And I'm a swim official, so I kind of need to,
Was it what?
I know, crazy stuff.
Alright,
Anyway,
you guys go forth without me.
okay, sorry, Justin.
Just know, I would rather be here.
I'm sure you would. Feel free to tune in on YouTube.
I'll do that.
All right, so moving on. This time we have 3 elements to look at. The first one is the public utilities element. So the vision that we talked about before is Francis will strategically plan and implement improvements to water, sewer, and storm drainage utilities to ensure necessary services are provided to the community and occur in advance of significant growth. Everyone's still good with that vision for the public utilities?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so our existing conditions is Francis City is committed to providing for the safe and efficient delivery of water to the community. The city operates a well and tank near the intersection of State Road 35 and Foothill Road. In addition, Francis City is a majority owner of the Woodland Hills Water Company, which provides another well and tank facility. A new well and tank located near the Stewart Ranch subdivision will provide additional water service to the Valley City. Anything y'all want to add to that, Scott?
Nothing.
Good. Okay. So the first goal has to do, I did it a little different. I broke this down into like water, sewer, and storm drainage. So the first set of goals and policies has to do with water. So the water goal is to ensure that cost-effective, safe, and reliable culinary water service continues to be available in Francis City. And then the policies are prioritize capital improvements, which will increase the supply and storage of culinary water in Francis City. Adopt and enforce water.
Can you move it up on the screen?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, let me make that a little bigger too.
Thank you.
Okay, adopt and enforce water conservation policies for landscaping and outdoor watering. Require private development to provide and construct all necessary infrastructure and transfer of water shares necessary to serve the development. Water system improvements shall be constructed to all applicable city standards and specifications as determined by the city engineer. And prohibit private culinary water systems within city limits, so no wells. Somebody can't just dig a well for themselves. Scott, are you good with those?
Mhm.
Planning Commission? Anything you want to add on water?
No.
Okay. Sewer, very similar. Very similar. The existing condition is that Francis City provides and maintains a municipal sewer collection and treatment system. Given the current growth rate, the system has capacity for the immediate future, but capacity should be continually evaluated as growth continues. And then the goals. Provide for and control, sorry Kim, I'm gonna bring that up.
Thanks.
All major sewer facilities within Francis City boundaries. The policies are require private development to provide and construct all collection facilities and additional infrastructure necessary to serve the development. Sewer system improvements shall be constructed to all applicable city standards and specifications. Need an S there, specifications as determined by the city engineer. The city should maintain a 1,000-foot buffer between development and the sewer lagoons, and no outside sewer system shall be connected into the Francis City system. Any comments on that? Okay, I know utilities are fun, but.
So excited.
This is the excitement, huh, Scott? You can deal with this every day. Okay. Storm drainage, existing conditions. Francis City incorporates detention and retention basins, irrigation ditches, and storm drain facilities throughout the city. As development occurs, the development is required to provide storm drain facilities for the development. That's a lot of development. If anyone has a better idea there, let me know. The storm drain facilities should be easily maintained and operable. Then the goal is to maintain all current basins and ditches. And policies. Ditches should be retained in their natural condition unless stormwater management facilities have been designated. Private development shall participate in improvements to the major system through storm drainage and flood control development, construction of selected facilities, and by providing additional resources. Private developments must provide all internal collection facilities necessary to serve individual projects, and development projects should plan for a future storm drainage and flood control system. Any comments or anyone have a better way to word that second sentence here? I just read that out loud and realized I don't like it. As development occurs, the development is required to provide storm drain facilities for the development.
You could say the developer is required instead of the developer.
Are you talking about B, right?
And so I'm talking about the sentence, or the middle sentence of the existing conditions.
Yeah, the developer is required to provide storm. Yeah, thank you, I'll do it.
Yeah.
We don't even need to be here. I like it, developer. I did it
Developer, we're
right.
mixing it up. Okay, wonderful. I think that's oh, sorry, this one policy, that's what happens when I get one on the next page. Private storm drainage system improvements should be constructed to all applicable city standards and specifications. Okay, implementation, there's 2 goals here, and I'd love some input on this, I just made this up. But, first project is to permanently connect the Stewart Ranch's well and tank to the city culinary water system. That is in the works and planned, but why not add it to our general plan? We can. And then the second project is to update the capital facilities plan.
Survey talked and we kind of bantered about this. Do we want a future goal for, or maybe a go forward for secondary water where applicable?
I did think about adding that in, but there's been some discussion lately about secondary water. I don't know, Scott, what do you?
I think it's something we can put in our bill. There's lots of discussion about, whether or not it's, I guess everybody thinks that we have secondary water will be cheaper, but it usually isn't, because if you think about it, we have to install a whole other water system.
Right.
So we have 2 water systems that we have to operate and maintain. And so, is there some benefit to just increase, we've already increased our capacity with the well and the tank, rather than now have a secondary system, now we have to go out and put lines in everywhere and have, we usually have to have more employees to help maintain that during summer months. So there's things we're looking at, but there's also things we're looking at too with, water shares and how they are valued by the state. And if we put them to a culinary system, do we take more of a haircut than if we put them to a secondary system? So I think it's something we can look at, but there's lots of discussion on where we go with it. I don't know yet.
So what would you put in here as like a project to
And you can
evaluate
just
it?
put,
Evaluate.
study,
Further study.
study the option of a secondary system.
Did Hart Crossing put in their secondary lines?
Yes, the lines are in the ground. Now, whether or not we
Utilize them.
hook them up and do that, that's one of the discussions we're having right now.
So further study
So, the secondary.
Feasibility, maybe?
feasibility of a secondary water system.
That's a good word right there.
Feasibility and implementation cost of secondary water system.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, my thought isn't so much on the cheap part, not that I'm not frugal anyway, but my thought more was on demand of culinary water. Like, does that reduce demand for culinary water, which I know we've done tons of things to alleviate our summer month stuff.
It depends, right now we've got, the Stewart Ranch well, we'll have the capacity for, it's size for indoor and outdoor use right now.
Gotcha.
It just puts the demand on, whether or not, the big thing with having a secondary system is if we have someplace to store the, surface water, which we don't, then it's kind of hard to say, okay, you guys can water this day this week, and you can't water for another 10 days next week. Because we only got so much water and we don't have the storage. So then, are we drilling wells anyway for secondary water? So then now we drill more wells, that's something else we operate, and we've already got a well big enough to handle it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm not looking to create more headaches. I just was like, are we solving more by doing this or alleviating the strain on culinary water in peak summer?
But what's going on with the water shares and the irrigation companies might make it more beneficial to try to figure out a way to keep water storage. So for the irrigation water, to transfer water from A shares, which is surface water irrigation, to B, which is pulling from a well, we lose the amount of water we get per share. So it might make it worthwhile to build a big storage pond up high somewhere that we can store the water.
Francis Reservoir.
Yeah, the state also started requiring we meter secondary water. They used to not require that. Now, recently they changed that, so we have to.
Yeah, so we have to meter, and people are gonna start charging, communities that have secondary water are gonna start charging for how much water you use and stuff like that, so. People just think I got secondary water, I can water every day of the week I want, but that's gonna change.
Awesome. All right. That was my only ad.
No, I think that's a good thing to add, just to keep looking at it. Okay, are we ready to move on, or do we want to talk about utilities anymore? Okay. So the next element has to do with parks, open space, and trails. Oh my goodness, sorry. So vision is Francis will have a park system with a variety of recreational and outdoor play opportunities. An expanded and interconnected trail system will be developed with connectivity to neighboring communities. Open spaces will be conserved and protected. All right, so the existing conditions on our park. The main location for Parks and Recreation in Francis is Francis Park. Many improvements have been made to this park in the last 5 years. The improvements were funded in large part by Summit County's restaurant tax grant and the Recreation Arts and Parks tax grant. The park is owned and maintained by the city and has the following facilities. So that's where we are now, and here's all the stuff we have. And then a list of the plans that we have for future improvements. Some of these, like field lighting, that one, we kind of had thought about, that's definitely up in the air. The rest of these, I feel like, maybe not the restroom remodel in the community center, kitchen remodel here. That could happen, but that's probably farther down. Some of these were actually a budget for, and some of these.
I really hope the rework of the infield on the baseball field.
I put that in here thinking of you.
Oh my word.
Yes.
I don't see any pickleball fields. Somebody in my pickleball group told me that we were ripping out the soccer fields to put in pickleball fields. Of course, I go, no, we're not.
No, we're not.
Who told you that?
That is
Crazy.
Crazy rumor. No.
Yeah.
We have no plans to rip out soccer fields. If anything, we'd add lighting to those fields.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have, Francis City owns and maintains 2 other park facilities. The park at Hart Crossing was recently completed and includes 2 pickleball courts, basketball court, shelter, picnic area, and lawn. The Wild Willow Park is under construction, but will include 2 biking tracks, a nature play area, picnic shelters, walking paths, and a restroom. There are 3 community parks in Francis City. Some of these are still in the works, so maybe we need to change the wording on that, but they're owned and maintained by neighborhood HOAs. These include the River Bluffs Park, the Stewart Ranches Park, and the Francis Commons Park. Francis City is not planning to construct any new parks in the next 5 years because of the recent expansion and improvement of the park system. Instead, the city's goal for the parks in the next 5 years will focus on completing, improving, and maintaining existing facilities. Any discussion about parks? Yeah, this was one of the areas where it was, It's kind of exciting to look at where we were 5 years ago and where we are today. Like, we've had a ton of park improvements in the last 5 years. So wow, we really done a lot lately on the parks. We didn't even have soccer fields 5 years ago. So. Goals and policies for the parks. So the goal is to provide a variety of recreational opportunities at well-maintained facilities located throughout the city. And then the policies are, city parks should provide a broad range of recreational activities for residents of all ages and abilities. New development will contribute to park improvements through park impact fees, the dedication of land, and construction of park facilities at the discretion of the city council. Should that say planning commission? Because I feel like you guys approved the landscape plans. I'm gonna change that to planning commission. Maybe it's both.
I was gonna say both is what I thought.
It probably should be both, but definitely planning commission has a big part of that. But really, the city council has to decide if they're going to take on more to maintain. They can budget for that. City parks will be well maintained. The city will seek to minimize park maintenance by selecting robust park designs, equipment, and materials when possible. Francis City will complete the Wild Willow Park and will continue to make improvements at other Francis parks by actively seeking grant funding. Okay. Any other, definitely open to anything else we want to add on this? Or any changes to what we have? Scott, looks like you got some ideas, no? Okay, feel free to, if you change your mind in the next month or so, let me know, and we'll make sure we add it in before we pass this on to city council. There's still time. Okay, open space. This is another place where I thought, wow, we have like no open space really 5 years ago. We have quite a bit now. So, existing conditions, open space and maintaining Francis City's rural character is important to the residents of Francis City. Large areas of open space in Francis and Summit County have been put under conservation easement in the last 5 years as a result of conservation subdivision code and obligations made in annexation agreements. Okay, so I also put a table in listing the open space we have right now under conservation easement, or that we will have. Hart Crossing is 30.3 acres, Hidden Meadows is 464, Foothills at Francis Gate, there's 120 acres up there, and then Stewart Ranches is 70.89, and then I put the land use. Does that look good to you, Scott? Did I think I didn't miss anything or get anything wrong on that? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the goal that I put for open space is to maintain the rural character of Francis City by encouraging the preservation of interconnected open space areas that are utilized for agriculture, sensitive lands protection, and active and passive recreation. Okay, and then the policies that go along with that, encourage new neighborhoods and annexation areas to be developed as conservation subdivisions, ensure that open space dedicated to the city or obligated as part of an annexation agreement be held in a perpetual conservation easement. When practical, require new private development to connect their open space areas to established conservation lands. Encourage open space preservation efforts made by developers, Summit County, and others. And last, open space shall be planned and designed to encourage and promote its proper use, care, and ongoing maintenance. Anything there? All right. Then the last section of this element is trails. The existing conditions are, as a rural community, Francis has a few dedicated pedestrian pathways. Citizens have typically taken advantage of the wide gravel shoulders to get around the city. However, as the community develops and the popularity of non-motorized transportation increases, demand for safe pedestrian and bicycle trails has increased. Most residents support increased taxes and fees for an improved trail network. Newer subdivisions such as River Bluffs and Hart Crossing have asphalt pedestrian trails. All new subdivisions are required to construct asphalt trails and our sidewalks. The Stewart Ranches, Foothills of Francis Gate, and Hidden Meadows subdivisions will include extended public trail systems as part of their developments. Summit County is planning to complete the State Road 32 trail system from Marion to Francis in 2024. This trail is a priority for Francis residents, and Francis City should continue to encourage and provide staff support to Summit County as needed to ensure the completion of this trail. Francis City's goal is to connect all of these trail systems. Funding will likely become one of the most difficult aspects of creating an interconnected trail system. When viewed as a whole system, the cost of construction and acquisition can seem overwhelming. Therefore, the city should strive to build smaller sections as opportunity and funding becomes available through development exactions, grants, and road maintenance. As time continues, these small sections will be connected and become a well-developed system. Okay, the trail's goal is provide an accessible and interconnected trail system between parks, neighborhoods, and city facilities throughout Francis City. And then the policies to go along with that are, in conjunction with development of land, require private development to construct public trail infrastructure as shown on the trail plan map. Prioritize city-funded trail building in areas with higher population density and on routes to schools, parks, and commercial areas. Discourage encroachment on Francis City trail easements and encourage and support trail construction and maintenance efforts by Summit County, the South Summit Trails Foundation, and others. Okay, Justin, you're our trails guy. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think the only thing I saw, I don't really know if there's a better way to word it, is just like as it becomes available, I wish there were a good way to say, like, or a good way to accomplish connecting these, some sort of actionable thing we could do, but for now, I think that's pretty good. We just have to look at what we can do as the valley fills in, really. I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah.
2024 is exciting though, that they're gonna connect Francis and Marion.
That's what they said. That's what their schedule is.
Is there a place, like, as we approve these mini subdivisions, where we can like put asterisks that like they may have to give us easements to connect trails in the event that funding becomes available, or however we? Well, I mean, I know in this case we're covered with right of way, but I'm just thinking as these smaller ones start.
If we go through talk about updating the trail map plan, so as we do that, the subdivisions come in and say, look, we've got a trail plan through here, you gotta do that. We just have to have it part of this, so that we can say, yeah, we've got something, you need to do it, so.
Got it.
Can that work, like, if we have a subdivision come in and they have a new road for the subdivision, they also have to connect to like, the highway or something else. Can we do the same thing with trails, or can we only have them build that piece that's on their property?
It's usually, we can't exact much from these guys,
No, I don't.
so usually it's just, we can only get, if it's an annexation, then we can say, hey, you gotta build this trail in here.
Build a trail or just an easement?
Build a trail.
Yeah.
We can do that. If it's put in the annexation agreement, the development agreement, we can do that. But for normal subdivisions, if it's in the city, but it's shown on our master plan that we have a trail come through here, then they have to put a trail through there.
Wasn't there a discussion of putting a trail that is along the bluffs to connect to Hidden Meadows on the south end of people living on Hallam?
Are you talking about the Hilltop Trail?
Yeah, the Hilltop Trail, I said the bluffs.
That's
But
okay.
I think
I get that's what I'm talking. So River Bluffs, has a trail easement. the developer put in a trail, and the development agreement, in my opinion, says that the HOA is responsible for maintenance of that trail. But we fought with the HOA over that for a long time. And they are not responsible for that trail. They will not maintain it. There's actually a trail there, but it's
I
kind
know,
of
I've been on it.
Yeah, so, recently we've been talking with the South Summit Trails Foundation about, making improvements to that trail. They had a grant, they received like an Epic Promise grant for $25,000. And they were planning on doing that this summer, but, they had a hard time getting a contractor to come out and do it. The other issue we have with the Hilltop Trail is that there are some people in River Bluffs that drive over it to get to the back of the property. And that's not good for trail, like that makes it really hard to maintain the trail. It kind of ruins it. And so we've talked with the South Summit Trails Foundation about fence or bolsters in certain areas to make it so people can't drive over it and ruin it.
But wasn't that gonna connect on the south end?
It does, yeah, it will connect over to the Hidden Meadows Trail.
It's gonna go over the canal.
Well, I don't know about going over the canal, that is not part of Hidden Meadows or the plan with Hilltop Trail. It would be great if we could do it, but Scott, I don't know if you've thought about that at all?
We thought about it, it's just, getting a trail over the canal, for Provo River water users, which controls the canal, is, kind of difficult, but it's something we talked about, and I think it'll eventually happen, but I don't know when.
Hopefully my lifetime.
It would be nice.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think trails is on a good path. I think we need to update and implement the map plan and maybe make that a winter project.
Yeah, so I guess one of the homework assignments I'll have before the next meeting for you all is to think about these projects and what the schedule should be for them. I didn't put any schedule on here because that's something I'd like to talk about next time as well, is looking at the whole scope of all these projects we have. What is our highest priority? Where do we want to put our efforts first? And just kind of make a schedule based on the priority of all the projects as a whole. We obviously can't do it all at once, so we need to spread it out in the next 5 years or so. Okay, so the 3 projects we have for parks, open space, and trails: to update the trail plan map, complete construction of the Wild Willow Park and future improvements of Francis Park. Update the, one thing I had a question about is, I remember Scott was telling me that we have a parks master plan. Is that right?
Yeah.
We have it? Is that something we might want to look at updating as a project?
Yeah, we'll look at that as part of the, capital facilities plan update.
Okay, so that goes under
That's part of the capital facility plan, helps us update our impact fees, which is something we need to do next year, so.
okay,
that'll be
so
that.
do I need to put anything about the parks master plan and these projects, or just not worry about it, because it's gonna be covered in the capital facilities?
Yeah, you just put update park master plan on.
I'm gonna put that with the update the trail plan map and the parks master plan. It's part of the first project, does that work?
Perfect.
Okay. And then the third project is to evaluate and possibly approve a trails impact fee for new development. So if someone comes in to build a house, right now we have like parks impact fee, road impact fee, water, sewer, we'll just have trails on there too. Then we can get all these little connections done eventually. Okay, the last element.
You have,
Oh, go ahead, sorry, Bob.
no, that's fine. Goals and policies, you have policy C twice. That's a
Ooh,
transition.
catch. Yes, I do, thank you. Anything else before I move on?
Nope.
Okay, thanks. All right, last but not least, economic development. The vision is that Francis will foster a pro-business environment to bring in new economic opportunities that will broaden the city's tax base. Francis will promote the development of a quaint Main Street with unique character and charm that is reflective of the city's heritage. The existing conditions are, although the State Road 32 corridor is predominantly zoned for commercial use, commercial development in Francis City is currently very limited. Residents generally travel to Canada's Heber, Park City, and Salt Lake to purchase groceries and retail items, obtain services, and to visit restaurants. However, with the rapid growth that is occurring in the area, economic development opportunities are emerging. A city center zone was established in 2018. This zone allows for mixed-use development with the purpose of enhancing the community's character and creating a quaint Main Street at the heart of Francis City. It is the city's intention that the city center will be an attractive and memorable destination for visitors and residents. Francis City residents support commercial development for small businesses such as restaurants, salons, and repair shops. Larger retail commercial development, light industrial and heavy industrial uses are discouraged by residents. So a couple goals here. First one is the rate of commercial growth will be higher than the rate of residential growth. And the policies to get there are promote a positive environment for businesses that strengthen and improve the city's tax base and quality of life, coordinate closely with county and state economic development departments to foster commercial growth in Francis City, encourage businesses to locate along State Road 32 and existing commercial and city center zones, and work with UDOT and other municipalities in the Camas Valley to develop a vision for the State Road 32 corridor. That last one is something that I've been talking with Camas and Oakley and Summit County about, is doing a corridor study. It looks like we'll be able to get some grant funding to do that. Any thoughts on this? No? Okay. The second goal is to create and maintain a sustainable economic base for Francis City that will provide tax revenues and increase local employment and convenience of shopping and restaurants. Improve, diversify and increase the tax base, seek revenue growth with economic development activities to mitigate residential property tax increases that may be required to offset increased level of service costs. Discourage big box retail and industrial uses that conflict with the city's identity and desired character. Buffer commercial and industrial uses from existing single-family residential areas. Maintain commercial and industrial zoning standards that promote and protect the quality of life in Francis. Maximize revenues from tourism by implementing a transient room tax. And allow small home-based businesses that have minimal impacts on city services or land uses, traffic noise, and parking. So a lot of this part is about making sure that commercial is cohesive with our residential areas and that it's improving the quality of life in the city.
So who's the hotel that's interested in building in Francis?
It's called Cobblestone. You might not have heard of it before, but there's one in Morgan. There's going to be one in Ephraim, Utah. They have grown quite a bit since when they were founded in like 2008 or something. There's a whole bunch in Colorado, the Midwest. They focus on rural cities.
So is it a motel or a hotel?
It's hotel. I actually visited the one in Morgan, and it seems like pretty much any other, like Holiday Inn or I think something like that. Yeah.
How many rooms are they looking to bring in?
They need to do a feasibility study. They looked at a site in Camas a couple of years ago and did a feasibility study there, and they were looking at about 60 rooms. So probably will be around there.
On 32?
Yeah, the site they're looking at is on the very north side of Francis, closer to Camas. Okay. So, as far as implementation, 2 projects that I came up with. File a technical assistance grant application with Camas, Oakley, and Summit County to request funding for a State Road 32 corridor study. That's in the works right now, the very beginning stages. And then the second project is to implement a 1% transient room tax. The purpose of that is to make sure we're maximizing the revenue we could from some of these commercial businesses. If you guys have any other projects, definitely open to it.
Is there a way to have a transient storage garage tax?
Wish. We do have like a fee that we charge for storage units. So the storage facilities we have, we get a little bit more than we normally get from a business. So at least there's that.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, it's like a square footage fee. They pay it yearly.
Oh, it's yearly.
With their business license.
I don't want to sound dumb, but what does the corridor study accomplish?
So how it came about is Oakley, UDOT recently did a traffic study and traffic projections in Oakley and probably in everywhere on 32. And they decided that Oakley will probably need to go to a 4-lane highway in the next little while. And Oakley, I don't know if any of you know, they're planning on the city center thing right in the heart of that area. And they do not want a 4-lane highway in that area. So they want to work with UDOT and come up with some ideas for how they can have their city center and make sure it's walkable and all the things you want from a nice Main Street area and not feel like a major highway, like 4-lane highways running through it. So they're really looking at other alternate options besides putting a 4-way highway through there. UDOT likes to help with these kind of projects when they're more on a regional level or larger levels, like a whole corridor. And so that's why Oakley asked Camas and Francis, would you be interested in having your corridor looked at and studied too? And that's honestly a great idea because I've been worried about our city center. We're planning the city center right here by this 4-way stop, and we want it to be pedestrian friendly, but there's a highway going through it, so I think this is a good idea to look at that.
I like it. It's a lot of work, but
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
it's good. I'm guessing you did that work, but.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But anything else you guys want to talk about with the general plan or anything about this commercial?
No, the only thing I was gonna ask, and I know we're not big on it, but like when we hit finalize or looking at finalize, can we just have like a hard copy that we can maybe just like physically go look at? And if I missed the meeting, then you don't, but I would just say like, whatever we're looking at, like binding and doing, like, can we just look at it, like print it out and ready to rock? Like,
Yeah. So, do you want just like printed like this?
yeah, I mean, just so that like the formatting, I know I'm old,
So
but
we can circle and highlight.
circle,
Yeah, absolutely.
highlight, like, like look for all that, page breaks,
Yes.
like all that stuff. Because I mean, I'm imagining at some point, I know it's probably not gonna be like mass published, but at some point there'll be a copy somewhere, and so I just think it'd be nice to look at it in hard copy once before we submit it, I guess.
No, I get that. I obviously like hard copies too, so
Yeah, I'm just doing
I'm
like that.
happy to do that. I will make sure y'all have a printed copy before our next meeting. And I'll try to get one to you, Justin, before if you're out of town. Still be happy for you to look at it.
Oh, yeah, and I would like.
And then
I
you
could
can give
even-
your comments back. Even
Yeah.
if we don't go for it in a meeting, I'm still love to have your comments.
Yeah, I don't think it violates any rules if I just bounce in with it real quick.
Yeah.
Before I take off.
Yeah. What day are you leaving?
Well, they'll probably cancel, but they'll wait till the last minute to do that. It looks like in December, I would have to probably leave on the 4th.
Okay.
So
No, that's when I would wanna have it out to everyone anyway, so I'll try to get it to you before you leave, just,
Yeah,
if I don't
anytime
get
that,
to you by then, remind me and I'll print you whatever I have.
Anytime that-
Serious.
yeah, anytime that week before. And if you have to email mine, like, it's fine, I'll read through it, but I just thought, man, that'd be really nice to.
It's nice to like actually see it on the page, yeah. And I don't necessarily love the formatting of this, so I might mess with it and try something different before the next meeting. This is what our last one was looking like, but I've seen other ones that are like better, so. Yeah, I think that's a good idea to look at the formatting next time too. Okay. Anything else on the general plan? Good?
Nope.
Should we list out like all the goals so that we can just kind of maybe rank them too? I guess,
All the projects,
yeah, and that could be whatever time frame you're looking at, but I just thought,
maybe have a list of all of them. on
pull
the
them
page.
out, yeah, pull them out and then,
That's a great suggestion. For the next meeting, let's do that. That way we can kind of set that timeline. Okay. So we're ready to, go with the last things we have today?
The planner update.
Planner update.
Planner update, okay. We already talked about the main thing I wanted to talk about, which was moving the November meeting. So I'm not gonna worry about talking about too much, I'll keep you updated. The other thing, I just wanted to keep you updated on that water conservation code we looked at the last meeting. That went to city council, they tabled it. I think overall it seemed like they were supportive of making the changes, but we need an ordinance, we didn't have it at that meeting. So, I think it will get approved, but it did get tabled for right now. Okay, that's it for me on the planner update, unless any of you have questions for me on anything else.
Nope, I'll have a comment after we adjourn. if that's it.
You have a
For me,
comment? Do you wanna, you can go ahead and just take care of that now.
it doesn't have to be in public.
Well, we can't have a discussion
Okay.
after, once we close the meeting.
So, regarding the email I got today from Brad on the, something that never came before me was 10 feet and 10 feet. And I've been going through the motions with you, Katie, as well, on the 2 20-foot ditch easement and trail easement at the south side of Hart Crossing. And, my concern is the process, I think, is flawed because we went from preliminary plat plan, and then to final plat plan, and then another, plat note was put in. But there was no, we weren't notified that that was done. So,
That happens all the time, because you'll make recommendations to the city council, and they may add stuff and you're not notified of it and make changes.
but the change was made and then it came back to planning for final approval. And we weren't notified, otherwise we would have discussed it. You know what I mean?
So, I guess I'm trying to follow, so
Well,
preliminary approval, then came back for you to final approval, and it was brought before you.
it wasn't, that change wasn't brought before us. It
It
was
was
just
on
in there. It was on the plat
But it
plan,
wasn't like
but we weren't,
highlighted.
yeah, we weren't told that this change was made by city council.
Let's see.
And then it went through, so, and then one got put on top of the other, which in my eyes was the wrong way to do it. But it was done and it's platted and it's history. But in the future, if things like this happen, at the least, the planning commission should be notified that there's a new plat note. And it should be brought to the attention, mainly to discuss it with the developer. And it's, there are things just, and that was when,
Really good idea.
as we said before, we were just starting. So I was, everybody here was pretty much brand new, but it got passed and in my eyes still, I think we lost a trail. But if it's 10 feet, 10 feet, I'm actually gonna go out and measure, because I think that ditch runs right down the middle of it. And I don't think there's enough room for an actual trail there.
Well, if there's, we have 20 feet, and if we ever built a trail along there, we can move the ditch over or whatever, make the ditch
Yeah, but that'll never.
and the trail inside the easement. So we have the 20-foot easement, and if the trail ever gets built through there, we'll build the trail in the 10-foot easement and have the ditch out there. That was I don't want to say, in my mind, that was the intention. We had 20 feet, and that's plenty of room to get a 10-foot ditch and an 8-foot trail.
Okay.
So what do you mean by if it ever gets built? There's a chance it won't?
Well, it has to be funded by
It has to be
us.
funded through,
The developer doesn't do it.
because at the time, the requirement was just to give the easement, not the trail.
Okay.
And also in the preliminary plan, as we saw it, I don't know if you can pull it up, but it shows it's a 20-foot trail easement, which was great. We knew he wasn't gonna do it, but we had 20 feet to put a trail. And
We
then-
do,
Yeah, but we don't, because there's a ditch easement there too.
but we've always talked about having the ditch and the trail together through that.
Well, next to each other. But the way I saw it written is plat note 5 and 6, one was 20 feet of ditch, and one was 20 feet of trail, running side by side. And then there's 50 feet from the property line to the south as a setback,
Right.
that, 50 feet, that doesn't go across Gary's property, because Gary has a beautiful fence running down that makes 20 feet. Anyway, my point is, we just, in situations like that, it's not like we have that many, but we just need to be
Transparent.
transparent. Everything needs to come before us so we can make the right decisions. And, because, trails, I feel the same way. It's important to connect everybody in the neighborhood, which is new for this area, being out here. Yeah, that's really it.
So Bob, just to summarize, make sure we're on the same page, it sounds like you would like in the staff report for us to highlight any changes between preliminary and final plat.
Yeah, well, I've mentioned to you before, if we could, let's say, Hidden Meadows, plat notes.
Yeah.
In a preliminary, if we could get those plat notes on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, so we could go line by line and say, okay, this is that.
Yeah.
And then, if we want to put trees in there, we put trees. So everything needs to be in writing.
Yeah. the
No
plat notes
more,
are-
okay, I promise I'll do that for you.
Okay.
And then we can really fall back on if something wasn't done.
Yeah.
Then we
Well,
can,
and that needs to be more, just not to clutter up the plat. Because the plat is mainly just to subdivide the property. And we don't show all the water lines and sewer lines and stuff on the plats we used to. It clutters everything up.
yeah, so plat notes, don't.
What's that?
Plat notes.
It depends on how many notes you got and how much room you got. But if that needs to be spelled out more in the development agreement,
Yeah, okay,
it needs to be more clear in the development agreement than I say a plat note, because a lot of times we would look at the development agreement before we look at the plat. So I would say that something like that should be spelled out clearer in the development agreement. I agree with that.
good. Cool. That's all I have.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you very much.
Thank you.